Hey, happy Sunday. This is Rod with Jesus and Silver. And today, I was touched by something I heard at church today. And I'm going to do my version of this a little different than what my pastor does because I'm no pastor and I couldn't stand in his shoes. But I want to talk about the radical forgiveness that we need to have with each other and everyone else because Jesus has it with us. So if we think about it, what did Jesus say about forgiveness? So Jesus teaches us radical forgiveness because his love for us is also radical. So forgiveness isn't about the offender, the ones who offend you or me or God, right? Forgiveness isn't about the offender. It's about the Father in heaven. And Jesus ties forgiveness to one, God's character. Be merciful as your Father is merciful to you. God's treatment of us. Forgive us as we forgive others who trespass against us, right? God's reward. Your reward will be great. And God's justice. Because with the measure you use it will be measured back to you, meaning that same forgiveness, right? Now, Jesus doesn't minimize the wound or the hurt you may feel from whatever the offender does to me or you. But he's putting light on the way out. Now, remember, forgiveness isn't the same as access. Jesus walked away from the murderous crowds, Luke 4:28 through 30. He withdrew from hostile people. He set boundaries with mockers, and he entrusted himself only to those who were safe. But forgiveness is commanded, access is not. So forgiveness is about the heart. Boundaries are about wisdom. Reconciliation is about mutual transformation. So remember, you can still forgive someone and move my cheek so they don't hit me in it again. They don't take away my peace. They don't protect me from the calling that I have, or they don't. I have to protect the calling that I have from them sometimes. And I'm not going to dance with dysfunction. I'm going to forgive you for being those things, but I don't have to be in that pit with you. I'm going to reach in, holding to God, trying to get you out of that pit, but I'm not jumping in. Because if I jump in, I lose my pillar of strength over here. So as Christians, like we have to forgive, but we still have to sometimes protect. Jesus, he did those things too. So sometimes forgiveness, why does it seem unfair? Why do I have to forgive? They didn't even apologize. And why does Jesus still call us to do it? So, right, they didn't change. They gave me an apology, but it was half-hearted. They didn't mean it. They got off too easy. Because remember, forgiveness isn't about freedom or fairness. Well, it is about freedom, but not fairness. Unforgiveness chains us to them and to our own injury. Forgiveness ties us into the Father. Unforgiveness lets that wound keep bleeding. But forgiveness hands it over to Jesus and lets him heal that wound for you. Unforgiveness says, I'm going to hold out until they pay for what they've done. Forgiveness says, Jesus already paid. This is one of those things that I always found to be like amazing. When you see these folks who lost loved ones to a murder or to something, and they can forgive the killer. I mean, as men and women, we can't do that. Like we don't really have that in us, right? But Jesus has it in him. So if you didn't have Jesus, and have faith in Jesus and let the Spirit transform you, right? We don't get this overnight. We can ask Jesus, we can go to Jesus and be with Jesus and say, please, please, please give me this ability to forgive. However, it doesn't happen overnight. It's going to take our entire lifetimes working through this and letting Him work through us. So, and that's why Jesus pushes Peter past 7 times into 70 times 7, not because the offender deserves it, but because your and my souls do. So the question here then would be, is God good? And is He good to me because He's making me making me forgive everybody? Well, that's really the hinge, isn't it? Because if God is good and He's good to you, His commandments aren't burdened to us. They're rescue lines. These are the things that can not only save our soul, but like literally make our time here on earth not bitter and ugly and angry. Forgiveness isn't God asking you to pretend the pain didn't really happen. It's God asking you to stop letting the pain define who you are. So forgiveness isn't the end of your story or my story or anybody's story, right? It's the beginning of healing. Forgiveness releases that offender from your judgment, my judgment. It releases us from our bitterness. It releases our situation into God's hands, who can actually do something with it. It does not require reconciliation. It doesn't require trust. It doesn't require proximity, and it doesn't require silence about the truth or enduring abuse. It also doesn't require an apology. But forgiveness is that first step toward freedom. Boundaries are second, healing is third, and wisdom comes last. So I want you to think about this, right? Like, we have to model as Christians, we have to model these things, right? So all these things are hard because as humans, like, it's hard to forgive someone, right? Like, I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steelers football fan. For years, I couldn't forgive Neil O'Donnell for throwing 2 picks in the Super Bowl back in like 1995. Yeah, I'm over that. But real stuff, like, my real father was never in my life. Like, my parents got divorced really young. He came around like once or twice here and there over the years, but was never in my life. And especially as like from say 7 years on moving forward, like he wasn't there. I could have held a lot of resentment. I chose to forgive him. I mean, I also kept my boundaries too. I was able to do that, that all those things got a lot easier with Jesus. And over the last few years, Jesus has shown me how to like really, really like forgive that and forgive Him for those things. So those are some real things that can happen. So remember, it doesn't happen overnight. Forgiveness isn't for the person that hurts us as much as it is for us. But more importantly, and the most important person it's for is for God, because that's what He tells us. He wants that. And then He can forgive us. Because trust me, let me tell you, I'm sure I'm sinning all the time. And I don't know it. Because there's plenty of times I sin, and I'm like, oh man, I did it. I can make my wife mad. I'll try. It just happens sometimes, right? I mean, it's just part of what we do. But forgiveness is the answer. Give it to Jesus. When they say that, that's what it's about, right? Forgiving those who hurt us, turning our pain, our sorrow, our wounds to Jesus, and He will get it fixed for you. All right, this is Rod with Jesus and Silver. Please like, share, subscribe so more people can hear the word of Jesus. But I appreciate you for listening. Have a great rest of your day. And I'm out.